Warren Miller didn't have any trouble convincing scholars to use these resources. In the 1950s, the American National Election Study was a very hot commodity. In 1960, a book co-authored by Miller, Converse, Campbell, and Stokes came out, and it revolutionized the field of political science. Other political scientists had heard about these marvelous survey data and clamored to get access. So a couple of seminars were held in 1954, 1958, at which the most recent election study was available for these people to use. And they got hooked, and they demanded mechanisms to allow them to continue to have access beyond picking up their families and coming to Ann Arbor for 4 weeks so that they could work on the materials. So the demand was there. The mechanisms had not really been tried before, but Miller and Campbell were experimenters of the first order, and so they were able to come up with these mechanisms. Demand had already been proven, and in fact it went on, that kind of demand went on to revolutionize the field of political science. There was a very bloody battle in the 60s and early 70s in political science, which the behaviorists ended up winning. Not so in my discipline. There was a very fervent group of behavioral or quantitative historians. They never managed to become the principal paradigm in history. But those of us who were convinced didn't let that get in our way, and we continued to use quantitative data and publish articles and books based on the data, largely the data that we were collecting here at ICPSR. The American National Election Study was not the only collection of data that were being assembled at various places, largely at universities, rather than centrally, as happened in Europe, with federal government support. The materials for the quantitative study of history were put together at the consortium thanks to funding that we got from various foundations. In other cases, the surveys or data collections that were put together remained at the institutions that employed the principal investigators for those collections. And only rarely would they share those with anybody else. But when the national election studies became available, it was not only impolite, but uncollegial for these scholars possessing these data not to share them. So they began to donate their data to the consortium, in some cases after their arms had been twisted very severely, and in a few cases after their federal funding agencies told them that they weren't going to get any more money until they made their previous data collections available. That seemed to work awfully well.